Hello students, hope you are doing great. I am Revan Siddhaya, your biology educator only at KLM Institute. Today's topic under biology will be control and coordination. So what do I mean by control and coordination? So we will take a very famous example for this, that is catching a ball. So when our Virat Kohli sees the ball coming towards himself, he thinks, like, he guesses that he can catch a ball. How he guesses that he sees the ball? He sends the signal to the brain, and his brain does the work for him. Okay, his brain does the work for him, and it sends back the signal to his arms. Okay, to both his arms, and then he tries to catch the ball at the right place. In fact, you can see here his whole body gets the message that the ball is coming. How does it do that? That is what we are going to study in this video. So let's consider another type of movement, that is walking. Simple, isn't it? You walk, if you want to walk left side, you walk in the left side. You want to walk in the right side, you want to walk in the right side. But there is one more type of movement, students, like touching a hot pan by mistake. Have you ever come across this situation in your life? If you have, you might have noticed you take your hand out immediately because your body is self-defensive. It doesn't want to get hurt. It doesn't even give you time to think. It does not go to your brain. That we will study in the further slides. But now we should classify these both. This is walking is your willingness. You want to walk. You want to walk left, you want to walk right, you want to walk straight. But touching a hot pan by mistake, you don't even know you took your hand out. It happens in milliseconds. So now we can classify it as walking, we can classify it as voluntary. And touching a hot pan by mistake, we can classify it as involuntary. So students, as you see your day-to-day activities, try to differentiate between voluntary and involuntary. It will be fun activity for you guys. So involuntary movement, we can also call it as reflex. I have written down here. And this, in short, we will call it as movement. So now what controls both involuntary and voluntary movements in our body? So we have studied digestive system controls our digestion, respiration system controls our respiration, and excretory system controls our excretion. Then also we can tell circulatory system controls our blood flow. So what controls our reflexes or movements of our body? As I do like this, my hands, who tells me to do like this? What system controls my hands?
Register today at KLM Institute for free online classes, revisions, doubt clearance, private online and offline classes, Olympiad exams, and win prizes, scholarships, and much more.
That system is known as nervous system. So that is what we are briefly going to study today. So our nervous system has few main components, as we call them. First one is the brain. We know our brain is very sharp and it contains millions of information, millions of gigabytes of information. And our spinal cord, students, the one which is in your vertebrae. And also everything, every single part of the brain and spinal cord and every single of your organs, like your hands, feet, everything is connected to neurons. It is connected by neurons. You can see I've written down sense organs also. These play a major role in our nervous system, but you cannot include them in the nervous system, but they are the major part of our nervous system. So first we will study what is the structure of a neuron. So here you can see what are neurons? They are basically a cell. So here you can see this cell. This is a modified cell, students. Normal cell will be like this and with the nucleus in the center. It also has a nucleus, you can see here. It also has cytoplasm. So it is a cell, but extra parts, what we have here is dendrite and axon. So these are the three main parts of a neuron. You can see here, I have listed down here, dendrite is the starting point of the neuron, and cell body, this whole part is a cell body from here to here. This whole part is a cell body, and this whole part is a axon, students. This whole part is considered as axon. It also has nerve endings. Axon endings also you can call them. It's generally called as nerve ending because it is a neuron. So this is the structure of a neuron. Hope you have all understood. Dendrite, cell body and axon are the three main parts of a neuron. Now let us see how do we perceive anything, like how do you perceive touch, how do you perceive smell, how do you perceive taste, how do you perceive vision. All has receptors in them. You should recall that we have 5 sense organs: eyes, nose, ear and tongue. So all these have a specific receptor. That's why all these things, all these sense organs respond to specific things. That is, eyes respond to photo. What is photo, students? Photo is light. It sees which color is the light. Is it bright or is it dim? Olfactory receptor is in our nose. Olfactory senses the smell. Phonoreceptors, it is the sound. Gustatory receptors are in our tongue to taste our food. And thermoreceptors. Thermoreceptors are all over your body. If any hot object touches you anywhere in the body, you can sense it, right? Yes. So all over your skin, there are thermoreceptors. These thermoreceptors receive the signal from our body. Now, if you think in computer language, these are the inputs of us. Okay. Now, let's see what we got the input. Okay, we are seeing an object. How does it send it to, how does the neurons send them to brain? So here you can see a dendrite. Dendrite is connected to, in the picture down below, you can see it is connected to a muscle, students. So whatever the muscle will get the signal, it sends, it releases a chemical around it. You can see here in the above picture, it releases a chemical. Okay. This chemical is detected by dendrite and it creates an electric impulse in the neuron. This black color line, you can think of it as electric impulse. It travels through the neuron like this, you can see here, and it goes to the nerve ending. Okay, then it stops because there is gap between one neuron and the next neuron. You can see here, this gap is known as synapse, students. So in this synapse, what happens? It receives the nerve ending ka electric signal. It detects the nerve endings electric signal and releases a new chemical. So this chemical is detected by the next dendrite. You can see here. Imagine this is the next dendrite and it receives the chemical signal. Then again it creates a new electric impulse and travels to the next neuron. Beautiful, isn't it, students? In the same way, there are millions of neurons connecting to one another. Between the neurons, there is a phase called as synapse. So in synapse, message transfers through chemical energy, but in the neurons, it transfers through electrical energy. Okay. In this way, it will reach to the brain. But how does it send back? It sends back also in the same way. You can see here, we already told neurons are connected to the muscle. So it gives our muscle a signal that it should move in this direction. Whatever the reaction you have to give, you give with the help of your muscles. If you want to lift something, if you want to drop something, if you want to go somewhere, you use your muscles, students. That is how your muscles get the signal.
Give your imagination wings. If you're willing to write something, what are you waiting for? Share your ideas and thoughts. Let your ideas reach out to millions. Get your articles published through our blogs for free.
So this is about our voluntary movement, students. But what about our involuntary movement? It cannot take so much time because involuntary reflexes are very urgent. It has to happen really fast. So let's see what happens in the involuntary reflexes. We told how a brain is an integral part of our nervous system. We already established it. But what about the spinal cord, students? We already established neurons and brain. Now let's see how does the spinal cord help in our reflexes. So if we'll take the same example of touching a hot pan, a sensory neuron, that is your connection of neurons, goes to the spinal cords and sends a message there, and spinal cords decides that it is harmful for your body, and immediately it sends back a reflex in your arm, okay, to the muscle of your arm, and you take out your hand immediately. The message does not go to brain at all because it needs to react fast to protect your hand. So this process of going the receptors, taking the message to spinal cord and bringing back to the muscles, this process is known as reflex R. You can see here, this is represented like this, okay, and the process of detecting the signal or the input and responding to it by output quickly. The quickly is the key word here, students. Okay. So students, this is how involuntary reflexes happen in our body. Now let us move on to the human brain. Let's study the structure of the brain first. Okay. So students, brain is divided into three parts. Mainly they are called as forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. Forebrain is in the frontal portion of your skull. So the brain inhabits in a skull. You already know that. So hypothalamus, pituitary glands, these are all endocrine glands. We will study about that later. So hindbrain consists of pons, medulla and cerebellum. So you can remember very important, that is medulla and cerebellum here in the hindbrain. In the midbrain, we can remember pituitary gland and hypothalamus. Okay. Also, it is connected to spinal cord, you can see here. And the top portion of your brain is called as cerebrum. It is covered by skull, which is called as cranium. And roughly, you cannot distinguish it properly, but roughly, if you want to tell, this can be considered as forebrain. This whole part, you can see here, I have made a mistake. Okay, yeah, this whole part as the forebrain, because it is in the top. From top to bottom, it will be considered forebrain, midbrain, hindbrain. Okay. Now let us see the function of each of these. I've made a small table for you to understand it very easily. So first, the forebrain. It is responsible for the voluntary actions, and it also does most of our thinking, students. And of course, it all memory of yours are stored in forebrain. And next, we will see about the midbrain. Midbrain has simple involuntary actions like breathing and digestion. To control your breathing and digestion, this is not voluntary, students. If you want to digest food, you will digest food. It is not that case, right? If you want to breathe, you are breathing. You cannot control it. It is simple involuntary action that is required in day-to-day life. Like every second, it needs to functioning. Okay. And hindbrain also has simple involuntary actions. Especially, you can see here, I've told you to remember medulla and cerebellum, because these have very specific functions, students. These are very, very important in our brain. Blood pressure is controlled by medulla. And salivation, when you see food or when you smell food, your mouth salivates, it produces saliva, that is controlled by the medulla. And also, when you are full or when you are sick, the vomiting sensation which you get, and when you vomit, all that is controlled by medulla. And cerebellum controls precision voluntary action. That is, if there is a pen here, okay, and I want to pick this pen, it is controlled by cerebellum, students. And it also maintains the balance. If you want to walk for a while, walking in a straight line without falling, you have to maintain your balance. Riding a bicycle, you have to maintain your balance. That is controlled by cerebellum. So there might be a question asked regarding medulla and cerebellum. That's why I have mentioned it, highlighted it very much. That is about the voluntary and involuntary actions of humans. The rest of control and coordination we will discuss in the part 2 of the video. Thank you, students.